Welcome to the fourth and final divisional round preview show right here on Rider Sports Network. This is, I'm Brandon, joined with Caleb. We're here to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Buffalo Bills and what is, I would consider, the game of the week in the divisional round. I mean, you'd have to agree, right, Caleb?
Oh, 100%. It's one of those things where, familiar with both of these teams. These teams, it seems like year in and year out, are teams that are every year up vying for this divisional round spot and in the games every year. And it seems like between these two teams specifically, it's always a good game, some dramatic fashion, something happens. So I'm expecting this to follow suit and be another fantastic game between the Chiefs and the Bills.
Yeah, it should be fun. You'll see it in a couple hours, 6:30 Eastern time over on CBS in Buffalo, where they got another good amount of snow that they're asking people to come in and clear the stands and whatnot and take things and just try to help out. From what I heard, that it's kind of that whole random seating thing again, just because of the amount of snow. Last time these two played, it was back in December with a Bills win, 20-17. It was that whole Kadarius Toney offensive offside call that ended up not ruining the game, but was considered one of the bigger misses possibly in the NFL season. Looking back at that game, what was a big, how big of a meaning was that for Buffalo to actually win in Kansas City?
I think it was big because that was right around the mark where they really were starting to find themselves and find their offensive groove, if you will. And for them to go in a place where, the previous seasons they've had, eventful games like the several overtime game and things of that nature. So I think it was a big confidence booster for them to get that win as they were going into the end of the season, where ultimately almost every game for them was a must win for them to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yeah, that was kind of like their turning point, where they were able to kind of get where they are right now. They're able to have a home game now against the same Kansas City Chiefs team that they've had struggles with over the last couple seasons. Looking at Chiefs offense, the ninth overall offense against Buffalo's defense, who's like 15th or something, ninth in the NFL. What's it going to take for Buffalo to get over that hump to get to the AFC Championship game today?
I think part of it is, they continue to rely on that ground game. I think that's going to be big, feeding the ball, running the ball, but also Josh Allen can't play hero ball. When he tries to do too much, you see him throw interceptions, you see him make mistakes, do just enough that it's not all on him. Allow the guys that you've got with you to help you out. Dalton Kincaid's been fantastic down the stretch. I believe they're going to be missing Gabe Davis, if that's right.
Yeah, Gabe Davis, Christian Benford, Taylor Rapp are all out today.
And so they've got Khalil Shakir that had a big play last week. And then you look at all these guys. So I just want to see, since it's a home game for them, how much the environment affects the Chiefs. They played in the cold weather last week against Miami. So with this even colder and actual snow, does that affect them and their ability to catch passes? As we know, that's been a struggling point for them all season. So how much does this intense weather pile on top of that?
Yeah. It's going to be it should be a fun game from start to finish. There's a lot of excitement built around this game. It's Kansas City's. Well, I wouldn't say it's Kansas City's first road playoff game. It's Patrick Mahomes' first road playoff game outside of Super Bowl games. So, which doesn't necessarily mean a lot for Patrick Mahomes. It's Patrick Mahomes. The guy's a stud quarterback. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for a while now, a couple of years at least. How much are the Chiefs going to rely on him to help get that victory in Buffalo today? It's a lot. It's going to take more than just Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of him, a lot of relying on Pacheco in the ground game to move the ball. As he's been titled as an angry runner, they're going to need that tonight, and they're going to need Kelsey to come up with big plays. That is Patrick's go-to guy, and he's going to have to step up big in this game, especially, like we just established, they struggle catching the ball, so with other guys not necessarily maybe stepping up, them missing some guys. So Kelsey's going to have to be there to be that safety blanket, if you will, for Mahomes if he gets into trouble. And then again, we got to look at Mahomes. He's had some up and down struggles, and it doesn't help that he hasn't had the all-star cast of receivers, if you will, when he first entered the league, when you had that combination of Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, two dangerous guys. Now it's really one guy, and then you've got a couple other guys. She Rice, he's coming on late into the season, been fantastic for them. I think they got a big hit in the draft with him.
Mhm.
And so I think he's going to need to step up in this game. He's going to have, a big game like he has these past few games. I believe last week he had 2 touchdowns. So, feed those 2 guys the ball, get Pacheco involved in the run game, and maybe the, quick slants or, those safety blanket passes out on the edge and get him running the ball.
Yeah. We talk about Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce and whatnot. Travis Kelce. So in the last 2 playoff meetings, Travis Kelce has 21 catches, 214 yards, 3 touchdowns against Buffalo. He's clearly going to have to be a key factor for Kansas City for them to walk out of Buffalo with the win and move on to another playoff game on the road in Baltimore next week. Looking at how much it's just tough. I know it's that's two really great teams, both 11-6, kind of getting the spotlight tonight in Buffalo. Where do you go if you're the Kansas City Chiefs? If you win here, is it there's so much momentum on Kansas City's side, right? If they win today, they go into Baltimore. The chances of them getting to the Super Bowl, I'd say, is pretty high.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, they make it through this matchup. If they do, you got to turn around and start figuring out how to game plan around stopping Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the Texans yesterday do that for about a half, and then they came out second half and just didn't have an answer for Lamar Jackson and that Ravens offense. They've got so many weapons. And you saw a glimpse of, that late in the season, they signed Dalvin Cook. He had a couple big plays late in the second half yesterday. And so I think for the Chiefs, whose defense has been playing very well down the stretch here, that's really what's, I feel like, carried them. And then that offense has done just enough. And so I think it's going to be, you're going to have to rely on their offense or their defense to get you through this game and really be a big key next week, especially with Lamar, and you've got to contain him in the pocket, because if they make it past this week, we know Josh Allen is mobile, but it's a different type of mobile. He's more of just a big, fast runner that's hard to tackle.
Mm-hmm. We saw that last week against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and so if you shift to Lamar, he's more of a shifty guy that's speeding, and he's going to, get you out of your shoes if you're not careful. So it's going to be an interesting matchup if we see that matchup in Baltimore next week.
Yeah. So you're looking at on the flip side of things with the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, Josh Allen is a big name that he's going to have to step up even more tonight to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Who else for the Buffalo Bills needs to take that step up to help them advance to the AFC Championship game?
Yeah, I think you got to look at, Stephon Diggs. He's been had an up and down season this year, kind of quiet a little bit in the playoffs so far, and teams have been locking him up, but I think he's going to have to step up. They're going to have help from their tight ends with both Kincaid, and so and then I think you got to rely on the ground game with it being cold. It's not going to be as easy to catch that ball either. So they're going to have to rely on Cook to come out there and give them some big plays on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Josh Allen's going to have to do his thing where, a play breaks down, he gets the first down pretty easy, but also, like we established, don't try to overthink it or do too much and then cause your team an unnecessary interception, because this Kansas City Chiefs defense will take advantage of that. We saw that it's been a big thing for them is forcing turnovers.
Yeah.
And, if Josh Allen tries to do too much, they're going to snap on that pretty quick.
Yeah, it'll be for me, I think I would have to agree. I think Stephon Diggs has to be one of the guys that gets behind and gets off to a quick start tonight. I think that's key. It's one of the big key factors for Buffalo to walk out tonight with a win. If not, we're going to see Kansas City in another AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Uh, and again, they were looking at the Kansas City side. Once again, they're a team who's kind of had, like you said earlier, a little bit of up and down mark this year. They've had really, really great games. They've had some not so great games. One against Denver a while back, not so great. Mahomes might have been sick and whatnot. We don't really know. Kansas City finds ways to win games, and I think this is a game that they're going to end up. I don't want to say they find a way to win, but there's a good chance they find a way to win. Seems like they're a team that always finds a way to win. Was the game against Miami last week just kind of like a fluke game for them? Is it just because Miami was beat up, or you think this is a Kansas City team that is finding themselves a little bit at the right time?
I think honestly, it could be a combination of both. Being a Dolphins fan, I understand last week was going to be a tough matchup for us anyway. Just how beat up our defense was. When you lose your top two pass edge rushers, and then you lose a couple linebackers, you have one of your top secondary guys out. There's not a lot of hope there for you to come in and stop an offense that has not been super hot as it has been in the past.
Right.
But also, Kansas City kind of, I think they felt they had a chip on their shoulder, coming into, not having the success they had in previous seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to be, I think they felt a little discredited, and then they decided to come out and say, okay, if this is what you're going to think, here's what we're going to do. And so they're able to come out. You saw a big jump from Rashee Rice. He had a big game last week, 2 touchdowns. I mean, they're starting to find their stride late in the season, kind of when it counts. And I think this week, if they get that opportunity, they're going to find the way to win. And so that's where it's going to come back to the Bills on, you've got to take care of the ball, because that one turnover could be the big difference. If Josh Allen has an interception and the Chiefs get points off that could be the deciding factor of the game. You never know. So I think that's why it's going to be key for this Chiefs defense to come up big. But also on the flip side of that Bills offense and Josh Allen has to take care of the ball.
Yeah, I agree. As I was going to say, my key factors for Kansas City to win is to get that offense going, get it spread out, get the ball to Rice, get the ball to Kelsey, get the ball in the hands of Pacheco, and let Mahomes do his thing. Same with Buffalo. I think Buffalo's got to do they got to do the same thing. They got to get the ball in the hands of their playmakers. There's James Cook, Dalvin Cook, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid. Clearly, Josh Allen can make plays when he needs to. I think that the big difference, I think, is going to be the toughness of that Kansas City defense compared to Pittsburgh's defense. I think that's where we're going to see a little bit of a change of the tide compared to last week for Buffalo. I could be wrong. But who knows? You got any key factors for either team today?
Yeah, I think it goes back to when I'm looking at key factors. If I'm looking at the Bills, it's you take care of the ball. And I think you got to establish your run game early with James Cook. And then if you're looking at the Chiefs, you come out and set the tone with defense. You got Chris Smith that ever since he came back has been playing really hard, get after the quarterback. But then on the flip side of that, you can't have a slow start on offense. Start, get in rhythm. Get your first few downs to get in rhythm, get Pacheco going, and then find Kelsey.
Yeah.
And
I would agree. What's your score prediction for this? And we'll head out. Second half of the Lions Bucs game has started already.
Let's see. It's in Buffalo. Going to be some cold weather. I'm going to expect a low scoring game. Give me a 17-14 Chiefs win.
Okay. I like it. I think that's a good score. I like, the weather is probably going to play a factor again tonight. It's going to be hard to hear this for the Buffalo fans out there, but I'm going to go Chiefs. I'm going to go. Give me a 28-24 type of game. a nice little close game up until that fourth quarter. There's going to be some kind of bit. There'll be a big play that kind of blows it out of the water for Kansas City to get them a victory, uh, to move on to that AFC Championship game against the Marlins, which should be a great game. But we can't count out Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills either. So, but give me Kansas City with the 28-24, 28-21 type of win today. Should be fun. It should be fun. Any closing remarks before we head out?
Now, just excited to see this matchup and see if there's any another exciting matchup between these two teams that have historically had great matchups, and I'm expecting another one.
Yeah, it should be fun. Caleb, I appreciate you jumping on really quick during the halftime of the Tampa Bay Detroit game, and we'll let you get back to it. I'm gonna go do the same thing as we're at the 11-minute mark, 4th and 13 for Tampa Bay. So it looks like Detroit's going to get the ball right back. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure you check out Talking to Good Iron tonight. All the awesome stuff. Caleb B. Woo Pig Weekly was dropped. Awesome episode yesterday, live at Baum Stadium to preview Arkansas baseball. Almost a basketball. God, wrong thing. So make sure you all check that out too. And we will see you next time right here on the Variety Sports Network.